Okay, so now we're going to do two problems where we factor out the greatest common factor, or the GCF. So, we start out, what is the greatest common factor for these? Well, what's the greatest number that divides into 12 and 18? Well, the biggest number that divides into both of those evenly is 6. Yeah? Now look at your variable part and you just select the smaller exponent. X to the 3 and x to the 7. X to the 3 is a smaller exponent. Y to the 5 and y to the 3. Y to the 3 is the smaller exponent. Now when I distribute this, it's got to take me back to here. So 6 times what gives me 12? 6 times 2. X to the 3 times what gives me x to the 3? Well, x to the 3 times 1, but I don't need to put the 1 in there because 2 times 1 is 2. And now the y. Y to the 3 times what gives me y to the 5? Y to the 3 times y to the 2 is y to the 5. So there's that part. Minus 6 times what gives me 18? 6 times 3. X to the 3 times x to what power gives me x to the 7? X to the 3 times x to the 4. Y to the 3 times 1 gives me y to the 3, but I don't need to put the 1 in there. That is factored. That's it. What about this problem? Well, this is a little bit different. So here, the greatest common factor, what do we see in both terms? Yeah? There's an x minus 2 that are in both of these. So if I factor out the x minus 2, what's left over? Well, when you factor it out, you're literally taking it out. Okay? So when I take that out, when I factor out x minus 2, I'm taking that out. What's left? X squared plus 3. That is the factored form. Now let me just illustrate something. So I took out the x minus 2 here. Here I took out the x minus 2. So that was the biggest, that was in both terms. I pulled that out. When I pulled that out, I was left with x squared plus 3. Let's multiply these and add them together and multiply these and show that we get the same thing. Notice we get what? X cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 6. Okay, that's what this is equal to. Let's multiply this. X cubed plus 3x minus 2x squared minus 6. X cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 6. You get the exact same thing. The order is a little different, but it doesn't matter. Remember, 5 times 7 is the same as 7 plus 5. That's commutative. So you can switch them, it doesn't matter. You get the exact same thing. This, the only difference is this right here versus this here. They look different, but they're actually the same thing. Now, why do we need to be able to factor? That's going to become clear later on. You'll see why when we factor this, and I'll get to that in a later video. But that's the idea of factoring out the greatest common factor for these two problems.